As a bird photographer, my most important job is putting myself in the right spot to make a good photograph. And when I'm out in the field, people are in the wrong spot most of the time with regards to the juxtaposition of where they are to the light, to the wind. They just don't know where to be. And it really is an important skill, and that's what we're going to talk about now. With all photography, everything begins with light. No light, no photography. But as we all know, the light is different in the early morning, it's different late in the day, it's different in midday. We have cloudy days, we work in the shade sometimes. So it's vitally important that folks study and understand the qualities of light and the direction of light. On a clear day, the sweet butter light just after sunrise for the first hour, hour and a half is a wonderful tool that we can use. And likewise on clear afternoons, beautiful warm light rich with reds and yellows just enhance the subject. I'm a strange bird in that I love to work in cloudy, overcast conditions. Beautiful, soft, even light, no shadows, and I even love the high-key look with a bright background so long as the subject is properly exposed. When you're photographing on a clear, sunny day, it's vitally important that you point your shadow at the bird. Simply put, you want the sun behind you coming right over your shoulder, photographing down your shadow line at the subject. I will, on occasion, photograph 10 or 15 degrees on either side of my shadow line, but for the most part, I want to be working as close to sun angle as I can. If you work off sun angle, if the sun is pointing there and you're photographing a bird here, you're going to have really unpleasant shadows on the bird, and you have a lot of problems with getting the face lit properly. So the simplest advice for a sunny day is point your shadow at your subject. And that works not only for bird photography, but any kind of nature photography. If you're photographing your grandkids or a building, point your shadow at the subject. When you're photographing silhouettes, it's exactly the opposite. You want to have the sun right behind the subject and then you. So the subject, the sun, and the photographer are always on the same line. It's just a matter of what's where. And certainly in lots of bird photography places, it's windy or breezy. But even when there's just a slight breeze, the effect of the wind or the breeze on the birds is important and noticeable and affects your photography tremendously. Birds are always going to land into the wind so that they can break. They're going to take off into the wind, same as a plane at Kennedy. And as far as when they're on the ground, whether it's the beach or a grassy field, for the most part, they're going to face into the wind. Why? They don't like having their feathers ruffled. If they're facing away from the wind is blowing their feathers up, it causes unnecessary wear and tear on the feathers. So they like to face right into the wind and keep their feathers smooth and unruffled. To simplify things with the wind, if the wind is in any way blowing at you, hitting your face from the front, it's a bad situation because the birds are going to be facing into the wind and slightly away from you. If the wind is squarely from one side or the other, that can be an ideal situation because you'll be able to perfectly parallel the subject that's facing into the wind. As long as the wind and the light are somewhere behind you, don't have to be lined up perfectly, you're in good shape. So as you go out, watch the wind, watch the birds, see how they're landing, see how they're flying, see how they're taking off, and see how they're sitting on the beach, and you'll become a much better bird photographer.